Do I want to fuck up loads more models?
You paint your mate's finger.
Yes, let's do it. Fuck it, whatever. I fuck around so you find out.
Haha, I managed not to look into the light while I turned it on. I used to be a gaffer. That's why I like titting about with lights. It's what we call in the trade a shit rig, but it works. So, mate of mine, Jonathan, he does the orchestration for Games Workshop stuff. All those big choral pieces, the timpani and strings. That's real. That's like orchestras. But actually, he was over. But yeah, he brought me some of the Goblin gaming, some of the Goblin hobbies. These etched sheets. You've probably seen them popping up on your Instagram feed. It's basically nail art stuff.
Way, a long way away. I just don't pick up as much shit. Looking down the barrel, picks it up lovely, circle in the middle of that, boom, stick it. Okay, very nice.
It's these silicon lenses. Oh, look at that. So you can eyeball. So kind of one of the things I want to investigate is how easy it is to do, with what the pressure is like. A lot of people as painters, as hobbyists in general, we're not all as dexterous as one another. A good painter, a good hobbyist has just spent those hours mindfully buying the brush. They're looking at the pressure, they're looking at the direction, they're turning the model. There's lots of these super subtle nuances that every painting video in the world can tell you, but really the best way is to have somebody sit next to you. I've done this with some of my friends who've come back into the hobby, and just sitting there and go, just turn your hand a little bit, turn the model, do this, a little bit less pressure, more pressure, see what I'm doing here. It's so difficult to pick it up on camera and then just kind of like almost take their hand and feel like this much pressure. Paint your mate's finger. What a weird thing. So I think there's lots of super fine things in this that are either you're going to take to or you're not. So you need acetone for this gear. It's I started filming this a week ago and then couldn't find any, because nail varnish remover has got all kinds of other additives, but you want 100% or 99.9, whatever it is. The other thing I want to investigate with this stuff is how easy is it to clean up with acetone. Never used acetone on minis, on acrylic paint. What else do we want to know about this stuff, I wonder? I'll get at it and see how it shakes out.
So I'm sitting here editing, and I realise this is quite a long one, but I want to keep in the footage of me plugging away with these stamps because I think it's important to see how they work, that I'm trying everything I can to make them work, see what they're good at, see what they fail. I'll try and make it obvious when I get to the conclusion if you want to skip through that, but just to show that I was giving them a good shake, I left the footage quite long, so don't be alarmed by the play time. Old Goops has grown a moustache since this photo shoot. Teeny tiny little instruction sheet, but like I say, they've got YouTube videos. However, of course, they're promoting it. I'm fucking with it. One of the things they talk about in the videos is having a nice clean workspace, having everything ready to go, because the speed at which you've got to work with this stuff is quite important. The acetone base to this stuff evaporates very quickly, so you have to apply squeegee level and then get this on really quick. Again, one of the things I've done for years and years as a maker, as a fabricator, building stuff for art. What you do is you have all your things in a set position, perhaps run through it in your mind, so you know where everything is. Nothing is in the way. Thing goes back into that place. So you might want to have, you know, a specific spot for everything. It's not immediately obvious, but you've got a silicone gel piece in each end. So you want to take that off, put it somewhere out of the way. Right, I'm going to get myself set up, have a cup of tea, give it a crack. Just to say a word about these, they're really nicely packaged. They slide out of these narrow case holders, so keep hold of those. And then what you've got is the, you know, much like you get on any new electronics, one of these films that me with no fingernails can barely get hold of. And you peel that back to reveal this beautiful mirror finish stainless steel. It is very difficult to show you them. It's all made of reflections. I'm just using the lid to wiggle the silicone out so I don't touch it. I can place that to one side, push that gently into place. Again, I feel I want to not knock this over but have access to it. And as we all know, in the hobby, you spill your Nolan oil and it goes everywhere. How do we mitigate that? Well, slap a rubber band around that. Yeah, you'd want to try to knock that over, wouldn't you? Right, let's have a bit of acetone on a bit of tissue ready to go. Stinks. Right, so this is supposed to happen in seconds. I'm going to do a dry run. I'm going to unscrew that. It's ready to go. So don't worry about screwing it back on. It's not going to evaporate that quick. But it will on your palette. So I'm going to get a little bit of that. Go on there. I'm going to squeegee it out of the way. I don't have to get it all the way. I don't have to clean up. But I need to get it far enough away that I can then get this in here. Pick up my piece. Gonna fuck up. I'm gonna fuck up. It's fine. It's fine to fuck up. I can fuck up. What shall I fuck up on? I might use the underside of that tank. Let's do that. Yeah, I've still got some gear on it. Right, let's just have a go. Scrape off loads of that. I'm going to do that little one because that's the one we're looking at. Some of that in there. Quick squeegee. Oh, that's weird. Picked up the other one, but not the one I actually touched. Is that because it dried too quick? Who knows? Right, let's wipe it off. Try again. That is dry. Wow, this stuff really does dry quick. Oh wow, yeah, look at it. See it vanishes. Right, paint. On, 2, 3. Bosh. Bosh. See, there was a little bit in the corner. Don't hate it. Let's have a go. I'm going to keep doing some more on here on the bottom of the tank. Maybe I'll do something a bit bigger just to see what we get, because that stuff, that detail is quite scratchy, so we're not really getting a sense. Let's love our tank. Quickly in there. Other side of the squeegee. Pick that up. Didn't pick it up. Still didn't pick it up. Get the excess off. It still feels wet. Yeah. I think I put a lot more on it that time. Here we go. Quick with a nail varnish. Little heart. Quick squeegee. I think that's the one. There we go. Loads of shit around it. Quickly wipe them away, perhaps. So you can see that little shadow it's making. God, it's so difficult to focus on. You can see it there, look. It's just like paper thin. Interesting. A little clean up, go again. So as you can see, that cleans up quite well. You have to, you know, wipe with, get it wet, turn it over, and then wipe away the excess. Let it dry for a little bit, and then you can buff it right up. They clean up really nicely, so nicely that it's bouncing back in the camera and blinding everything. So I'm going to try. I'm going to try on a Space Marine. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. For real. You know, I think you've got to embrace the carnage in this hobby. As Bob Ross said, you know, happy accidents. If our transfer doesn't sit on the Marine as beautifully as we would like, that's, you know, authentic battle damage. So let's go again. Bit of the gear. Painting that one. Squeegee quick. Oh, I think I was a bit too hard there. Let's have a look. All right. So I'm going to try and go across the bottom of that shoulder pad. Just above there. Very interesting. And you can see where, get in there. Almost like spider web. It's just, there's nothing to it. It sticks quite well, doesn't it? So, I wonder if I have to put a tiny bit of the gear on. And find quickly a little dry brush. Tickle it away. Brush maybe. I'm just picking up a little bit of the acetone on the brush. Maybe not enough. It still feels moist. Such fine detail, it's really difficult to stay in shot. This is why, by the way, boys and girls, people don't shoot this kind of content, because it's an absolute to stay in focus. Something that small. Let's see, I'm going to dip the brush in the acetone, soak away the excess. Picking up a bit on the tissue. And I've dipped again and then just flipped off. You can see a tiny bit on my thumb. That gets it, but it strips off the paint so fucking quick. Oof. Yeah. At this point, would throw all of this in the bin. But one must persevere. One must persevere. You know, if I were to continue with this, would I just retouch that? Would I just say there's some, you know, put some dirt on it? That cable I can paint in. It's definitely rubbed some paint off of the elbow plate piece there. Let's fuck up some more Marines, shall we? Let's fuck up some more Marines. Oh, again, this one's going to take a minute to clean. Right, another go. So a little clean on that as well while we're at it. That's interesting. I've got everything but. Try again. It's a fiddle. It's definitely a fiddle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
10. Fucking got everything around it, but not the one I want.
I'm going to have a little breather. I'm going to try something bigger. I've got the bigger piece on there. The dirt is on the underside, by the way. If you can see those dots. They're actually on the back of the gel, not on the domed side. And I am going to bang some on my Ork speeder. You've seen this before, right? It's the old roll-on deodorant speeder, but I crashed it into a squig buggy. Let's have a look. Let's do this one. Hazard stripes. Don't know what I'm doing wrong. Try it again. Super light pressure. You can see barely rocking that. That seems to get it. Big splodge on the end. Lovely. Didn't see that when I picked it up. It was hidden in the reflections on the side. How do I get rid of that? Dab it off. Let's see. Obviously, I've used this because I can just smash on loads of burn or damage or something. Got a little bit of acetone on there just to see what happens very gently. Yeah, stop touching it. Let's get a little bit more acetone on the tissue. Yeah, as soon as you're removing the white stuff, I'm barely touching that, and I'm going all the way through all the paint layers. Basically, you have to be fucking good at this, or you're gonna fuck up your models. And okay, I've got one decent one, two decent ones after a couple of tries. It's just not consistent enough. Do I want to fuck up loads more models? Trying. Yes, let's do it. Fuck it, whatever. I fuck around so you find out. So you got one of the Orky ones, some of their glyphs. Just have a go with a number. Plenty of flood it in there. Lovely. Bosh. Seems alright. A few misses in there though. Odd. Is that because I've put too much pressure? So I suspect what's happened there is where I've pushed this because it's curved. It's hit the edges of that etched piece and it's bottomed out, pushed the nail varnish into the corners, and then effectively left none on the stamp. So let's just add another number, see what we get. See, that was less pressure and I got nothing. I've got the squeegee action pressure. It's like just enough to keep it on the surface. Move it. No, nothing. Fuck it. It's just not consistent. Just not doing the same thing twice. Is it because my flat is a little bit warmer now than it was a couple of hours ago when I started? Yes, I have been at this for about 2 or 3 hours. Is my pizza burning? Hang on, I'm going to check my pizza. Right, I'm going to keep trying. I am going to have a go with what... Let's see what this is good at. What it's not good at is consistency. What I suspect it might be good at is dealing with curved surfaces. Because, of course, normal transfers are a flat thing that, you know, they fold up. This flat thing doesn't want to conform to a compound curve. So, of course, that flat thing, even with microsol and microset, doesn't beautifully smooth onto that surface, and you get little lifts where the material ridges up, you know. So what is this good for? Perhaps it's good at going over those curves. kind of done it a little bit there on that one. Let's have a quick go. Something a bit pronounced. I'm going to do 3 there. Plop, plop. Got it. Sighting through the thing. That's pretty tasty. How much of that did you get? Yeah, it's done a nice job. Done that same thing where there's a little miss in each corner. Ooh, a little bit there. I think that might be as well, you know. It's a cheeky little bit that must have been on there. It's so easy with this thing to pick up stuff you don't want to then put on your model that you're then going to fuck up like that, like the Space Marines holster. I think that's what's giving me the willies on this stuff, is that there is so little margin for error. We're so used to painting stuff, if you fuck it up, you can fix it with a paintbrush. Okay, that's not terrible. But I've also got to fix all those little bits there. Is it just because it's alien and different? I've just got to keep trying. What should I keep trying on? It's got to be toys. I'm not going to do my thumbnails because that's not paint. Just taking it over here to give it a little wash over my paint pot. That's pretty good. Let's do a cheeky voiceover here because I'm so busy concentrating on what I'm doing as I've placed the circle and then the outline of a circle. What I'm testing is how difficult is it to sight down that scope, get a nice central placement. You know, if you're doing a shoulder pad or a detail inside a detail. We're getting somewhere. I couldn't say what I'm doing that's any different, but it's working. Look, how many seconds ago was that? Tough as boots. Obviously, because it's nail varnish stuff. Which I think is what the problem is. This stuff are acrylics underneath. How tough would your varnish have to be to withstand any kind of cleanup? Try out a nail shop tomorrow. See what works. I'm going to stretch my old bones and read some turnip stuff. Got some turnip coming up. Turnip. Turnip. This is Savaloy. You'll have seen him on my Instagram. He's a naughty sausage, you can tell, can't you? Meh. Right, so I just got back from a little visit to a nail technician, hair salon, just up the road from me, and they don't use stamps anymore because they're a pain in the arse. I am not surprised. I am, however, going to persevere. I asked a few questions on my stories on my Instagram, and lovely Ben, oh sorry, Apocrypha now, as you will know him, asked about putting it on textured surfaces. So I whipped out my scab, super glue and bicarb there for textures. Quite a speckled prime on that. I think all my cans are at their last. So the grey went on smooth, but the black and the white were really spattery, as you can see here. But I quite like it, to be honest. Ben wants some texture. And similarly, Bolter and Blade, these are baby wipes. About texture. So this is, I painted it. So we'll see what it goes on to a bit of, slightly textured surface and see how that works. Going with white because it stands out. What I'll do is just that plain circle because, a plain shape, a textured surface will show up what's going on. I have to angle it loads, don't I? Otherwise you can't see a thing. Quick as you like. By the go, lid, squeegee, nice and soft. Pick up the thing. Didn't pick it up. Didn't pick it up. So we've got how many stages? You've got stage 1. Flood the design. Stage 2. Squeegee gently. That looks good. Stage 3. Pick it up. Doesn't quite pick it up. That was pretty fucking quick. I'm not frustrated. You're frustrated. Right, here we go again. Make sure it's definitely dry. Put the gear on the design. Gently squeegee across. Pick up the design. Does not pick up the design. Just getting grubby. Right, let's try again. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, bit out of shot. So yeah, it does go on, but that little blob there that I picked up as well also goes on. So now you've got to paint over that, because if you get acetone on something to try and clean that off, takes the paint off with it. If I did that with a transfer, that couldn't happen. If the transfer was on there, could I clean the transfer off? I've never had to clean the transfer off. Either the transfer works and you can see it's worked, or it doesn't work and you fuck it off because you've torn it or whatever else has happened. This is too risky. It's torn away a little bit there. It's not quite got down there. It's gone onto that blob quite easily. That is more realistic, because the rust has popped out and now exposes that, and we can put a little bit of brown paint on there. That would make more sense. That, where the paint has come off, is a pain in the cock, to be overly technical. Let's keep trying. Circle painted on. Gently squeeze it away, barely putting any pressure on it. Gonna make sure I don't get that excess. Got it. Still didn't quite pick up that half. Let's do another polka dot. Let's do it over that will damage there. Boom, 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 boom. Gently roll it on. I did get a bit of shit up there. So how long have I got? How long have I got from putting that on? Testing this. Right. Put the gear. Ooh, nearly. Put the gear on there. Squeegee away. Getting good at that now. Picking up a design. Got a design. Didn't get a design. Right. How long have I got now? Can I get rid of that? Pick it up on a different bit. Pick up the design. Did not pick up the design. What is going on? Just when I said I was getting good at that, that's what it is. It's voice activated. Put the key on. Very gently, 45 degrees, squeegee across. That's more like it. Pick up a design. Didn't pick up all the design. You can see what's left there. Breathe. Clean up. Reset. Oh, lovely. Got one. Lovely. Oh, shit. Reactivating the old paint on my cutting mat and making it all sticky. What is that? So you can tidy it off of there if you're very careful. But is that now too dry to stamp? Bit distorted. So if you saw if that was in shot, but I picked up the circle and some extra shit here, and I managed to just take that away with this damp acetone. I'm not convinced, but I'm going to keep trying because I've stopped a couple of times now to look at the videos to make sure I'm doing it right. And I'm clearly getting it to that stage. Don't know. What is it they say about madness? Definition of madness is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So yeah, it does go over texture. Let's try it again on a bit of this stuff, see what that does. So, wipe it away. I'm going to wipe it away a long way away in the hopes that I don't pick up as much shit. Looking down the barrel, picked it up lovely. Circle in the middle of that. Boom. Ooh, sticking a little bit. There we go. Very nice. Surprisingly nice, in fact. Who'd have thought printing on fabric was a thing? It's almost like none of us have ever worn a t-shirt. Yeah, that works. I'll do something else. I'll do some checkers or something. See what we get. Obviously, I've put the little stamp on now, so I'm not going to get all of them. But loads. Boop. Oh, that's weird. It didn't pick up the very centre, so it couldn't obviously print it across. So it was a little bit my fault. Didn't quite pick up the detail when I stamped it. And obviously that's quite small, so you don't get a square, but proof of concept, yes, you can go on texture quite successfully with something solid. So then in theory, you could get your next colour. Let's try that. And then do your... So fucking fiddly. These are very grippy. I don't know if you can see that, but it... Obviously, this has got a bit of texture to it. Maybe a microfiber cloth might be an option. Or an old glasses cleaning cloth. Let's try a black cross in the middle of that circle. Cross there. Oh, hello. Squeegee. That looks lovely. Get that up in the centre. Looking down it like a telescope. Here's the lid, like, get high as balls on this shit. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's tight, whereas that looks like if character's what you want, but then you've got to tidy it up with a brush. So why not just get good and paint it with a brush? Bollocks. I was going to put some stuff on this, but you know what? I'm not going to. I fucked up enough with my toys trying this out. I've given it a good crack, but I don't think it's the one. Oh, did you hear Dreamies? Somebody heard the Dreamies. There you go, Tabs. Check your notes. Read through the script. Bollocks, there's a script. Conclusion then? I wouldn't bother, mate. So, yeah, it's such a difficult process. There's like the application. That's relatively straightforward. But you could still potentially screw that up. Getting it everywhere, spilling it everywhere, having to tidy up. Squeegeeing it is quite a tricky one. And that came quite quickly. 3 or 4 swipes and I could reliably do it. But then every now and again you would be like, oh, that didn't work. But it felt right. It felt right. You know, it's that super fine motor skills. You know how you've not painted in a couple of weeks. You come back to it and you feel ham-fisted and you get into the rhythm again. Trick for that. Do lots of base coats. Don't go straight back into details once you're back on the bike again. Do some broad strokes. Get your muscle memory kicking back in again. And then it will come. So we got application. We got that squeegeeing effect. And then picking it up. Again, really tricky. The right amount of pressure, rolling or dabbing, whichever one. It seems to be slightly different for each icon, depending on the shape. And picking the right silicone, whether it's the large, softer one or the slightly shallower angled, smaller one. What works best? You saw how on one of them I pushed a little bit too hard and it pushed the nail polish into the corners. So as the silicone went in there, it pushed against the bottom and it pushed the gear into the corners, and I didn't get any pickup in the middle. That was what the front of the Ork speeder, where I got those kind of little misses. It works on fabric, it works on texture because obviously it's quite flexible. So if you're an Ork player or you're doing turnip and you want some of those bits of iconography work for you, and you can lean into the damage and the cracks and the scrapes, then it might be for you. But if you're putting it on your nicely painted, you know, ultramarines like the box art, you're going to be fucking throwing this out the window, because you'll get 2 or 3 and then the third one will go for no apparent reason. And if you don't do that and you spill your acetone, you could kill every model in the splash zone. I think that's my first use of the word splash zone on this channel. But what I think in essence it boils down to is, if you don't have the fine motor skills for applying transfers, you're going to struggle just as much, if not more, with this. And with this, if you get it wrong, it can go so much more wrong. With a transfer, you can be putting it on and you know whether you fucked it up. It's gone wrong. You can see it. You can slide it off. You might even be able to pick it up with fine enough tweezers and try again. But what you don't have to do is then try and get it off with acetone and melt all the paint off of that shoulder pad and half the arm. I did a guy here where, like, there's a chain iconography and it went across the shoulder pad, but the edges of the shoulder pad have got that kind of riveted, I don't know what it's called, band on the top and across the bottom. And of course it kind of just touches that because it's raised. But I had to put the pressure in there because I want it to go all the way around to that. But of course now I'm in the realms of, well, I have to repaint that metal trim. So, okay, base colour, put on your decals, these things, your stamps, then paint those details. You can paint over them.
but will you see it? Will you see it through the paint? Because there is a substance to it. It is, you know, not even paper thin, but it's there. It registers. Can't use oil paints on it because oils and that will affect, or rather the spirits in the oils and stuff will affect the silicone. If you fancy it, if you have a go. But yeah, what more can I say? Checks notes. Yeah, I think I'm giving it a fair shake. I think there's a bit of me that doesn't want to poo-poo it because the fellas that developed it seem like such lovely fellas. It's Goob Town with his lovely cats, chilled man that goes canoeing, grows a lovely moustache, and his buddy, I forget his name, sorry, they do a podcast together. But I hate shitting on it. I hate shitting on a product from nice people. But then also, you're nice people, I hope. It's too small, I can't see it. Look at that. Under the rubber band, it will blind you, and that's corrosive. And just in case, you know, it will take the super glue off your minis. Wow. Wow. Fuck that shit. Find something nice to say. Find something nice to say. Like I say, I went to a nail art place up the road, and she was nice enough to chat to me while she was doing a client's nails. You know, this is somebody that does nails all day, every day. She's zoned in on this, and she's trying it and doesn't get on with it. The other lady in the shop saying the same as well. You know, I know that's a sample of 2. That's hardly great science, but all saying exactly the same thing. Could be good, but it's just not consistent. I guess that's what it is. That's what you want. You want consistency, right? You practice paintings to be good, and good is consistent. So that our army, our squad, our warband, our gathering, you're playing Necropolis, right? A valiant try. I don't think it's going to be one that's worth getting in, apart from anything because of Trump's fucking tariffs, getting it from the US. This was brought over by a mate who flew over. Right, nerds. I'll catch you on the next one. Probably some turnip. Later. Oh, did you like and subscribe? Because, I mean, you're down there clicking on the next video anyway, aren't you? Puck up. In a bit. Back. Nice.